All right, it's our last full field event of the PGA Tour season. And we're going to wrap up the FedEx Cup fall. I'm Keith Stewart from Read the Line. Of course, I'm joined with senior golf writer Len Hochberg from RotoWire. It's time for the RotoWire Rundown. Len, this is week number 46 of the PGA Tour season. On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you for a break?
I am ready for a break. I mean, it's good to get into the rhythm of the season, and that'll pick up in January. But hey, we all have a lot of things to do. We have one holiday coming up, then we got another one right behind it, and maybe a little vacation time for the golfers and the golf writers as well.
I like where your head's at on that. Now, of course, the end, it implies some form of a cutoff. The top 125, we haven't been here before with the RSM Classic at Sea Island, right? The top 125 need to earn their tour card. So how much are you putting these qualifying factors into your handicapping and prediction mode for the week going into the RSM Classic?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important. It definitely will impact the golfers. It's just hard to predict who's going to handle the pressure and who's not. I mean, these guys are all right around the top 125. It's not like these guys are the top 10 in the world. So they're, this is maybe kind of uncharted territory for some of them. But there are some really interesting scenarios. Maverick McNeely might be the biggest name outside the top 125. He's been injured much of the year. He's played only one tournament since he came back. He missed the cut a couple of weeks ago. Ryan Moore made a late charge. He had a great week last week with a tie for fifth or a solo fifth. He's now 128th. He's playing this year on a career money exemption. He doesn't have that next year. So this is really important to him. And I don't know, Mr. Irrelevant. Well, I guess he's not Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. 125, Carl Jan, has been playing well in the fall and had another good week last week. So how these guys will handle the pressure this week is an unknown, but they've been playing pretty well leading up to it, at least Moore and Jan have.
Well, I'll tell you, I think there's a bunch of storylines here too. It's not just the top 125 where you have Carl Yuan and Henrik Norlander's the odd man looking out. He's number 126. I mean, how about we're going to Sea Island where you got number 149 Webb Simpson? A huge week for him. It could get him up. It might not get him in the top 125, but it would definitely get him close enough that it would improve his position to qualify for more events. Then there's that next 10 that the PGA Tour keeps telling us about. Numbers 51 through 60. One of those guys like Mark Hubbard, 61, or Steven Yeager, 62. Alex Noren, the runner-up from last week, is 64. You jump in there, you get to go to the first two like major signature events of the year, the AT&T, the Genesis, and then I'm thinking about the Masters. That's right, Len. I know it's November, but I'm thinking about the Masters. How about the guys that are top 50 in the world rankings, right? You got a guy like the favorite this week, Ludwig Aberg, right? He's 53rd in the world ranking. Everyone's making a big deal going to the Ryder Cup. He's not been in a major. He gets in the top 50 this week with a great finish. Who knows? He could be going down Magnolia Lane. There's a lot to talk about there.
There are so many different points there. I want to bring up Jimmy Walker, who was inside the top 125 at the after the Wyndham, which was the traditional cutoff point, and he famously railed about the process continuing. Well, ever since then, he has just nosedived. He has dropped every week. He's been missing cuts. He's now 139th. He's another guy playing on a career money exemption who doesn't have status for next year. And, and he's got to have a great week just to get into the top 125. So many variables. Yep. Alex Noren, 55th in the world, I believe, like you mentioned, the top 50 in the world, get into the Masters. That's another thing. This is the last tournament of the year for a lot of these guys. Most of these guys, unless they want to go on the DP World Tour to Australia and South Africa, which most of them don't. So many things at play this week.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right. It's a complete wild card because it's been the Wyndham for years, and now all of a sudden it's on two golf courses, and we'll get to that in a second. But down at the RSM, it's just one of those things where I think that I actually like what the PGA Tour has done here in this FedEx Cup Fall Series. I think there's been a lot of drama. There's been some great winners. I mean, Camilo last week, what a story that is. I just think the fall has been fantastic, and I think we're going to get a sweet wrap up this week, which is going to be at the Sea Island Resort. We've got 2 golf courses to handicap. The Plantation course, which is a par 72, and then the Seaside course, which they'll play 3 of the 4 rounds on, which is a par 70. For you, when you start breaking down all of the different DFS buckets and everything, and you're looking at the skill sets, are these 2 courses, are they different? Are they the same? How do you handicap and break them apart?
Well, I think they're both short courses. One's a par 70, one's a par 72. Seaside has enormous greens, over 7,000 square feet, but Plantation has pretty big greens themselves at over 6,000 or around 6,000 square feet. 3 of the rounds at Seaside, I do most of my looking, research, breaking things down at Seaside. Yeah, you got to play well at Plantation to make the cut. But I think there are enough similarities in this course, in these 2 courses, that they're not completely different. Maybe like Torrey Pines North and South, which could be such a difference between the 2, the South being so much harder than the North. So I don't really look at it, the 2 courses completely differently. The things I'm looking at, wedge play like last week, a lot of 100 to 125, these short courses, short par 5s, short par 4s, similarities enough that I think whoever plays well on one can play well on the other.
I mean, we're in lockstep on this. I think there's really just 2 big differences between these courses. First, it comes down to basically one's easier than the other. Plantation has 4 par 5s, and they're about the same length. So they're definitely very scoreable. And the second thing comes down to the weather. I have played both these golf courses many, many times, Len, and I'll tell you, Plantation is way more protected than Seaside. Seaside is its namesake. It is going right out to the St. Simon Sound, which is basically the Atlantic Ocean. And if that weather kicks in this week, which they're talking about a chance of on Wednesday, Thursday, if you draw Thursday on Seaside, good luck, my friend, because you will wish you were on Plantation. And I was doing even a little more digging. It seems like momentum plays a big part in the leaders by the time they get to Sunday. 4 of the last 5 winners of this event have gone Plantation, Seaside. Combine that with the weather this year, that rotation, it looks like they get hot to start and then they carry that momentum into Seaside on Friday. I think that's definitely something that all of your DFS readers and my betting readers definitely want to pay attention to. There's no doubt about that. Speaking of which, it's always the same story, Len. Everybody wants the names. We're down to the DFS picks for the week. RSM Classic, starting at 10,000. The favorite for the tournament, Ludwig Hochberg, right? Ryder Cup. The guy's got a 2nd place, a 13th, a 10th. What's he going to do this week? Is he your 10,000, your 10K guy, or who do you have? Go through the buckets for us.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Saw a lot of names pop up in the field that we haven't seen since the Tour Championship or maybe the Ryder Cup. For some of them, these guys have been idle for a long time. Brian Harman, Harris English, Russell Henley, Corey Connors, Denny McCarthy. Most of the top guys in this field have not played for a while. Cameron Young, he played a couple of weeks ago. He's played 1 tournament. So it's kind of interesting. How will they, respond to so much time off? I am largely fading all of these guys. They are great unknowns. I think the fact that the field is 156 itself makes it wide open in so many other ways. As far as Ludwig, he is the favorite, and this may come back to bite me, but his wedge play may be the weakest part of his game. In checking the 100 to 125, he's about 140th in this field over the past 24 rounds. So that is really something to work on there. So I'm going to stay away from him as well. I'm going to go all the way down to the bare 9,000s, 9,000 exactly, and start with Eric Cole. There are about 10 guys above that. I'm going to avoid them. This way I can avoid the 6,000s and stay in the 8,000s and the 7,000s. Brendan Todd, we talked about him last week, $8,500. We like him when a wedge in hand. Luke List, you don't think of him that way. You think of him as a bomber, but he's played pretty well at this course, and he's played pretty well, very well, during the fall season. 8,300. JJ Spawn, 8,000. Sam Ryder down in the 7,000, 7,200. Ryan Moore, who we mentioned earlier, at 7,100. A couple of guys in the sixes. Kelly Craft again didn't have a great week last week, but he made the cut. He's at 67. Justin Lauer at 69. And here's one bargain basement, Jim Herman. He's at $6,000. You can't go any lower if you're out of cash and you just got to wedge someone into your lineup, no pun intended. He's made the cut here 7 of his past 8 times.
Wow, that's a good dig right there. In that 6K range, I know you love those names down there. I might go with Grayson Sigg. He's actually the course record holder. He shot 58 on Seaside when he was playing there. That's 12 under par around those links. So, good on Bermuda grass. SEC
Georgia
player
guy
in college. So a good name for you and for everyone listening in the DFS space. Now, unlike you, I do have somewhat of a budget. I can't pick a million names to win from a betting perspective, but I'm not limited to the 10K, 9K range. I think at the top of the board, one of the names that everyone's going to be talking about is can he deliver down at the RSM, and that's JT Poston, the Postman. He's had some mediocre starts there. He's missed some cuts, but his last 2 were in the top 21, and he's had a fantastic finish to the season and the fall. When he did tee it up, he's played well. He's got the putter. He's got the wedge game. There's no doubt about that. Here's a name for you, and he hasn't been doing it all in the FedEx Cup fall. I love Billy Horschel this week. He used to practice out of there. His teacher, Todd Anderson, used to work there, used to be the director of instruction at Sea Island. He's now down there at Sawgrass. But Billy's been around those parts. He's lost there in a playoff. And his fall over on the DP World Tour was really, really solid. He finished the year well at 3M and Wyndham, and then he played well over in Ireland. He played well in France. He played well in the BMW. I like what Billy's doing. And then a little bit further down the board, couple years ago, a Purdue Boilermaker won the event, Tyler Duncan. Well, one of his teammates is a great iron player. He's great at positional golf, and he's an excellent putter. Everybody loved the guy all year, and we've forgotten about him, but he finished top 10 on the tour at the FedEx Cup Championship, right? Down there at Eastlake in Atlanta. How about Adam Schenk at 70-1, right? A little bit of a bomb, but he's had some good finishes there. I kind of like his game going into there. Hey, it's the end of the year. We got to try something sometimes in order to scrape up a win at a place with 2 golf courses and 156 players and a lot to play for. Any thoughts on any of those there, Len?
Yeah, I think Adam Schenk is a good call. He really has played. I mean, he's really improved his game, maybe as much as anyone from last year to this year. He's in a lot of different tournaments. He's could have won a couple of times. He's had some real heartbreak. And JT Poston, when I started thinking about this tournament, I think, well, this guy's the perfect guy. I was very surprised to see that he has not succeeded at this tournament, that he has not played all that well, but he would seem like a perfect fit. And when you have to get hot with the putter, well, he's right at the top of a lot of people's lists too.
Yeah, the only thing I want hotter is that turkey next week. You know what? We're going to have a week off. It's Thanksgiving. I got to ask you one quick question. I love to put you on the spot. What are you thankful for in 2023 when you sit down at the table a week from Thursday?
It's so simple for me. I'm happy for my family. I'm happy that we're happy, largely happy, healthy. We can all want more. We can all want a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I have a 10-year-old son. He's the joy of my life. Nothing more thankful than for that. And how about yourself, Keith?
For me, I'm definitely, I'm thankful for family and friends, but I'm also thankful, Len, for you and for all of our fans of the Rundown. We started this over the summer. We're catching a ton of momentum, and it's fun checking in every week with you. We come up with these topics, and you and I go back and forth. And I tell you, you've really expanded my thinking on the way that I handicap from a sports betting perspective. So I really enjoy all of this. We'll be off next week, but don't worry, folks. It's not the end of the year for us. When Tiger shows up in 2 weeks at the Hero, Len and I will be there too. The RotoWire Rundown will be back on the Tuesday before the Hero World Challenge. Until then, enjoy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Len.
Thank you. Right back at you, Keith. I'll be thinking of you when I take a bite of my pecan pie.